Let's welcome in Lee Jung-hoo from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. He wears number 65, Landon Root.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I always enjoy talking to you.
Let's welcome in Wade Boggs. Let's bring in Will the Thrill. He's the ace of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Logan, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Good to be on here.
Welcome to Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Giants sweep the LA Dodgers.
Sponsored by Lunardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply the best. Right here on your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR, the sports leader.
And here's a swing and a comebacker. Iglesias has it, and he tells Arise, don't even bother. He runs over to first, flips it there for the out, and the game is over just like that. Iglesias retires the Giants very quietly in the ninth inning.
Welcome into an extra inning post-game show on a Saturday evening as the Giants shut out the Atlanta Braves 5-0 at Oracle Park. Their sixth shutout this year for the San Francisco Giants, and they take 2 out of 3 against the Athletics to start the homestand. They now equal the games out, and one more left against Atlanta as they win tonight to 1-1 against the Braves. They're 3-1 against the Braves this year, a good 2 games in Atlanta. And, of course, today the 2 stars was Rafi Devers and Logan Webb. Tremendous game for both of them. And it was Rafi Devers' bobblehead night. What about that? 2 home runs by Rafi Devers, his 13th and 14th, a solo shot in the second, a 3-run shot in the third. And the Giants had enough runs for Logan Webb, and he was masterful today as he goes 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, no runs at all, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. At one time, he left the game after 17 with 16 straight outs, 16 straight as he left after the 7th inning with 92 pitches, 60 of them for strikes. 15 first pitch strikes out of 24 hitters. I just love looking at those numbers. 8 ground ball outs, 7 fly ball outs, and 22 swings and misses. And he had a nice 5-pitch mix going today with the sinker, the sweeper, the changeup. Love this cross-seam fastball he's throwing, and the cutter. And you start dividing that up with 6 strikeouts, 2 of them by the sinker, 1 by the sweeper, 1 by the changeup, and 2 by the cross-seam fastball, where he elevates that ball up into their chest, and 2 nice punch-outs. And then you start dividing it up, and this is what he's been doing the last few games, really the whole time he's been back, all the way back 6 starts ago when he faced the Colorado Rockies. And he's been throwing 5 pitches, as I said, 32 sinkers, 19 fastballs, really the highest point he's thrown across seam, 16 changeups, 13 sweepers, and 12 cutters. Really a nice mix. And he had Drew Kavanaugh behind the plate, a catcher that's never caught him before. As you know, Kavanaugh was not in big league camp, so this was the first time he was behind the plate. And with so many catchers coming in and out, Logan Webb is pretty much calling his own game. And I think that's a great idea, and it's a learning tool for Drew Kavanaugh as well as Susak and Haas, catchers that really have not been behind the plate that much for Logan Webb. But he was just on fire today. As I said, everything was working. This whole month was just dynamite for him. When you look at what he's done in the month of June, 5 starts, 38 innings pitched, only 19 hits he's given up, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and 29 strikeouts. And what does that equal out to? A .71 earned run average. And you add the other one in, he threw another outing against Colorado where it was 4 1/3 innings, only giving up 1 earned runs, three hits in that game, and he goes 42 1/3 innings, only giving up 4 earned runs. So ever since he's come back with the knee issue, he has been the Logan Webb that we know, and that's the reason why Buster Posey said Logan Webb will not get traded, and that's the ace of this team. He's here forever. He wants to be a Giant, of course, from Sacramento. And he just performed so well in maneuvering in and out and getting ahead of hitters. A couple nice plays behind him. Arise with a nice backhand from Michael Harris in the 6th inning. A couple balls hit out to left field, one by Albies where Casey Schmidt came in and kind of backhanded it. And it looks like he's getting better in left field. He's getting more comfortable out there. He caught a ball in left center on a warning track, got back there in time and made a nice catch. And that's what you have to do. You have to be on your toes with Logan Webb on the mound. He's a fast worker. He was efficient today when how many pitches per inning. And this is just remarkable when you start listening to how many pitches he throws per inning. 16 in the first inning, 20 in the second inning when he gave up the double and the walk. And then after that, it was just unbelievable. 10 in the third, 10 in the fourth, 15 in the fifth, 16 in the sixth, and 5 in the seventh. 5 pitches, 4 for strikes, and he gets out on a 1-2-3 inning. As I said, 16 hitters in a row he put up and put down, and one of the most powerful lineups in the National League, as the Atlanta Braves are now 49-32, and the Giants with the win are 34-48. Now you go on the offensive side, and Rafi Devers hit 2 bombs today. The first one in the second inning, a 2-2 pitch, a fastball, hit about 92 miles an hour, hit at 404 feet, his 13th home run on the season. And then he backs it up in the third inning, an 0-2 slider, and he nailed it right down the right field line, hit the foul pole, an 0-2 pitch, 362 feet, and that was his 14th home run, and it really opened the game up for the Giants right there. One of the key points in this game that happened in that second inning was Drew Gilbert coming up with first and third, and he hit a nice sac fly to left field. A nice at bat there by Drew Gilbert to add another run in that second inning. And after that, the Giants just coasted with that 5-0 lead. As I said, Logan Webb goes 7 innings, only 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Ryan Walker came in, gave up a walk, and then Hedges came in and had a 1-2-3 inning. The Giants had 24 hitters up, and they only walked 1 guy in this game ever since the second inning. 24 hitters with 1 walk, 23 straight outs. That's the kind of pitching you need. This is the dominance of the pitching staff. And when you look at what's going on, the last 11 games, the Giants staff have under a 3-point earned run average. You can go even further. The last 6 games, the starters have gone 5 innings or more. So we're starting to see a little bit more push from the starters, and we've been talking about that, getting deeper into the game. And once again, Logan Webb did that. I just love looking at his numbers for the month of June. He started out with Milwaukee throwing 7 innings, 1 hit. He followed that up with Washington, 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. The Cub game, 8 innings, 7 hits, and no earned runs. He pitched a gem in Miami where he lost that game 2-1. He went 8 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. And then today, the dominance he did against the Atlanta Braves, 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs. And it was just the dominance of every pitch. And I keep saying dominance because he was that way. He could maneuver the ball on the outside corner. He threw the ball inside. He had a nice breaking ball. He took speed off of the pitches. The changeup was there again. The sweeper was there. And when you look at the sweeper, 84 miles an hour with a nice break on it. The changeup had the downward spin on it, 86 miles. And I keep saying he's going to this fastball. It's a cross-seam fastball, getting it up to 94 miles an hour today. And, of course, the dominance on the sinker, 92, 91, with good movement. So, you look at what he's done in the month of June. You look at 38 innings, only giving up 19 hits, 29 strikeouts, and only giving up 3 earned runs, .71 earned run average. Just a fantastic game. He's lowered his numbers down for the year. He's 5-5 now. He's got 90 innings, 74 hits. He's got his earned run average down to a 3.09. And you remember maybe 6 weeks ago when his earned run average couldn't get under a 5 and a 6. And we're wondering, where's Logan Webb? Why is this happening? He can't get people out. He couldn't go deep in the game. Well, Giants fans, he just showed you in his last 6 starts what he can do, and we've seen this out of Logan Webb many years. And he's on his way to possibly being on this all-star team with what he's done. But you got to look at Pitcher of the Month, National League Pitcher of the Month, with the numbers that he's shown in 5 starts with a .71 earned run average. It's going to be close, of course. But when you look at what he's done, 3-1 on the month of June. Rafael Devers on the other side, boy, he could come up and swing that bat when he wants to. And he hit 2 strike counts today for 2 home runs, where he went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs. On Rafael Devers' bobblehead night, 22 times he's hit two home runs or more in his career. And this was the first game of the second half. It's his 82nd game for the San Francisco Giants. One more tomorrow on the homestand. Chris Sale, of course, 8-5 with a 2.14 for the Atlanta Braves against Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray 6-6 with a 3.7 earned run average. His last 2 starts, he's gone 14 and a third innings, only giving up 4 hits, 6 walks, 14 strikeouts. He threw a great game in Atlanta where he went 6 and a third innings, only giving up 2 hits, no runs. And he backed it up going against the Athletics where he went 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, but it was not earned. 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. And he's showing his dominance too and what he's done in his pitch mix. And we'll see if he can do it tomorrow. 2 fantastic left-handers going in first pitch right here on KNBR at 105. All right, we'll take a quick break. 415-808 KNBR. Let's talk Giants baseball. Let's talk Logan Webb, Rafael Devers, and talk a little bit more as the second half of the Giants season starts today as they have their 82nd game. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post Game Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Back in there, the 0-2. Devers swings, hooks a high fly ball along the right field line towards the corner. It is gone! Off the foul pole, Devers does it again. His second home run of the night.
Back on the Extra Inning postgame show with Bill Laskey on a Saturday, an 0-2 83-mile-an-hour slider by Bryce Elder, and Rafi Devers hooked it, man. He hooked it right down the line, hit the foul pole 362 feet. Oracle Park was jammed again tonight. The crowd was electric, and that home run just had everybody on their feet. His second home run of the night. He went 2 for 3 tonight, four RBIs, 2 home runs, 13 and number 14. And I said, sir, earlier, that's his 22nd time in his career he's hit 2 home runs or more. And, hey, we'll take more of those, Rafi. Anytime you want to keep going, hitting them out of the yard, Giants fans will be loving it. So the Giants end up winning today 5-0. Their 6th shutout on the season, and Logan Webb was this dominant. 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, walked out after 7 innings, retiring 16 hitters in a row. And you did against a very good team of the Atlanta Braves. 415-808-KNBR. Let's get on the phone lines. Let's go to Glenn. He's in Visalia. Glenn, you're on an extra inning game. How are you doing tonight?
Bill, I'm great. Is the Giants 3-1 against the Braves?
Yes, they are. They took 2 games in Atlanta. They have 1 more they're going to play in end of August, and then they've split this series 1-1 with 1 more left. So they're playing against the first-place teams, Glenn, very well. And this is what's got to get better the second half of the season with the other clubs.
Well, Bill, I'm just going to take this next win and appreciate what the crowd did and what the Giants do tomorrow, Bill. I'm going to enjoy that tomorrow. But right now, the Giants win. Great win. Now we need 29 more wins, Bill, and we will have 63 wins.
There you go. I love it. I love it, Glenn. You're being positive. I love that out of you, Glenn. And today it was a Logan Webb show on the mound and Rafael Devers at the plate, and the Giants ended up breaking that 2-game losing streak and really played a good game all around today.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, Glenn. Let's go to Rustwood and talk to Mario. Mario, you're on an extra inning post-game show. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing good, Bill. You know, just looking at the wild card standings and whatnot with the Giants' victory and Logan Webb, continuing to, look like an all-star. I'm looking at the Marlins, and all of a sudden they're only 6 back of the Braves and only a half a game back of the Padres. And it seems like that's the team to watch right now. as the horses come down the stretch. The Giants are we're gonna struggle just like we have with our bullpen and whatnot, and it'll be like that for another couple of years. But it's just interesting to see these Marlins come out of nowhere.
Mario, why do you think the bullpen will be struggling in the next couple of years? Do you think that it won't be fixed? Do you think they won't be able to add pieces? Do you think they're not going to do that? Because they've definitely see the inefficiencies of the bullpen, and I think that's one thing that Buster's probably going to look at in the offseason, get a closer, get an experienced closer. There's missing pieces, no doubt, but there's also some smart people in the baseball operations that understand what they missed, and I think they'll be able to fix it.
True. I mean, look, when you talk about baseball operations, let's look at the Marlins. They got Peter Bendix and Gabe Kapler of the Giants, of all people. Wouldn't that be ironic?
I understand what you're talking about, the Marlins. I really understand the Marlins are playing good baseball. But, again, tonight it's the Giants beating the Braves, and they beat a real good team tonight, Mario. And Logan Webb shut down an explosive offense. And that's kind of what I want to keep the drift of the subject tonight.
Okay. Back to the Giants and the Braves. Well, tomorrow's game, I mean, I guess we can only hope for a victory because, we have to have it because we're 14 games back now, under 500. So we'd have to basically play almost 700 baseball.
Chris Sale is the true thing. He's nasty, and he's only been going about 5. He's gone 5 2/3 innings in his last 3 starts. Talking to a couple writers from the Braves, they're kind of limiting him in so many pitches and so many innings because they want to see him in August and September. And you look at Robbie Ray in his last 2 outings, he's been the old Robbie Ray we saw last year. He shut out the Braves 6 1/3, and then he really threw a great game against the Athletics. 1 earned run when Jung-Hoo Lee dropped that ball, but he went 8 innings. So the starting staff, Mario, they're getting deeper into games. They've gone 6 straight games with 5 innings or more, and I've been saying that for a good month now. The starters have to be more efficient, and they got to get deeper into games. And so far, the last 6 games, they've done that.
Yeah, so you think the Giants are going to make the playoffs in the next 2 years, Bill? I mean, is that what you're telling me?
I can't predict. I don't predict down the road. I don't predict things. I don't predict wins or losses like everybody does in the beginning of the year. As an ex-pitcher, I look month to month. I see how teams do, and right now they're about 500 for the month of June. We talked about this, Mario. They win a couple, they lose a couple. They win one, they lose one. The efficiency on this team, they just can't win consistent. We've been talking about that. That's why they're 34 and 48. They have more losing streaks than winning streaks. But overall tonight, I think the Giants are happy with what they did today. A couple nice home runs by Rafi Devers, and we've been waiting for that. Let's put it that way. We've been waiting for Devers to get hot, and I think maybe the thing in Miami sparked it a little bit with him. Maybe he's a little concentrating, a little better effort at the plate. Love to see that. And at the same time, Logan Webb for the month of June is the best pitcher in baseball.
True. What do you think about the Reds? I mean, because they got the playoff experience last year. They're so young, and I'm not going to go to the Marlins, but I think that's exactly what's going to happen with the Marlins. So now you got 2 teams next year to compete against that have playoff experience, younger teams, and the Giants will not have no playoff experience together until another year after this year. So it just seems like we're falling further and further behind with our youth and our experience getting into the playoffs.
Well, I disagree. I disagree with the prospects. I disagree, Mario. The minor leagues have a lot of prospects, a lot of young players. Look what Drew Cavanaugh came out of nowhere, started in Double-A, hit the ball real well in Double-A, moved up to Triple-A. Now he's up here. I think it's a big asset with Drew Cavanaugh. Excuse me. Being a left-hand hitter. He hit the ball real well tonight. He controlled his zone for Logan Webb. Him and Susak are your young catchers. I think the prospects will filter in and out, but in the long run, I can't predict anything in playoffs this year or next year. Like I said, we're looking month to month. But Mario, thanks for the call. Let's go to Saratoga and talk to Bob. Bob, you're on our next earnings show with Bill Laskey. How are you this evening, Bob?
Very well, Bill, and I want to congratulate you on always being positive and not criticizing. I listened to KNBR all day long and all night long, and I'm tired of hearing these guys who have never played the game saying, fire Buster Posey, and he did this wrong, and he did that wrong, and fire the manager. It's the players, as you've always said. So I'm only going to listen to your program from now on. I'm not going to name names, but
well, Bob,
I'm tired of all
as an ex-player, Bob, negativity, is this too much? I mean, this whole week has been negativity, and I just can't handle every show, every person, negative. You talk to the media, you'll read the articles. Everything's negative. Last night, even though they lost that game, I started the show saying, I'm done with the negativity. I don't want phone calls just ripping on Posey, ripping on Tony, ripping on the players. Let's talk about the game. And each game you have positives and negatives. Last night, I thought they played lackluster. I didn't see the focus. Today, the focus was Logan Webb. The focus was Rafi Devers. The focus was good defense. And that's what I want to talk about. That's how you make a team change. That's the positive of each game. And today, man, Logan Webb and Rafael Devers, the 2 stars today, Bob, I couldn't be more happier.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they had the audacity to say that he made a mistake on several things, and it's turned out that he didn't. He brought in a really good third base coach because we needed one, and we brought up several minor league players, and then they gave the credit for all those young players that are doing well to Fargon because he was the one that drafted them. I mean, these guys don't know what
you can
doing.
talk about the draft, but you got to talk about how they got through the minor leagues and how the work was done with the coaching staff in the minor leagues. This minor league system right now with Randy Wynn is done so much better, and Kyle Haynes and the coaching staff they have at Papago with the young players. And you go to each division, Bob, and each division won their first half in Double-A, High-A, Low-A, and you don't hear enough of it. You don't hear enough of the positives about the minor leagues. And then you look at guys like Barracuda coming up here, Drew Kavanaugh, guys you haven't even heard of, and they do what they do. And they get to this stage and they get to be a star of the day. And Barracuda's just been fantastic for 3 games. Drew Kavanaugh coming up here, never caught any of these guys. Bob, and you think about a catcher coming up, playing in the big leagues against the Atlanta Braves, your first 2 games, and you do what he did, it was impressive to me.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work, Bill, because I'm not going to listen to anybody else because I'm tired.
Well, Bob, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Bob. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Steve. He's in Brisbane. Steve, you want to talk about Rafi Devers? He was star of the game today. What did you think about his at-bats?
Absolutely, Bill. How are you doing?
It was a good game today. I really enjoyed watching Logan Webb just carve up the zone. I just love when he's on point. And when you're talking about, pitching 10 pitches an inning, 10 pitches, 15, and then he finishes it the 7th inning with only 5 pitches, 4 for strikes, and he gets a 1-2-3 inning. The balls were moving today. He was in the zone. And again, like I just told Bob, I'm very impressed with Drew Kavanaugh behind the plate so far.
No, absolutely. I was really quite impressed with the game tonight. And, it just brings to light the fact that they've got the capability of being able to do this. So I'm hoping in the future they're going to be able to win a lot more games.
What do you think of Rafi Devers today? I'd love to hear what you have to say about Rafi Devers.
I thought it was fantastic, especially seeing him, running home and everybody patting him, and congratulating him. It just showed that there was really a lot of team camaraderie, taking place. But I'll tell you something kind of funny that I observed in the after game or post game show. They interviewed Tony Vitello, and he actually showed a little bit of sense of humor for the first time. They asked him about Devers' home runs, and he goes, "Well, geez, I was a little discouraged about his second home run. It hit the foul ball pole, and darn it might have been a splash hit." So I thought that was pretty funny. I hadn't seen that sense of humor before.
And you know, you're talking about Rafi Devers going in the dugout, and I think Kruger Kite might have said it on the TV side. He's smiling. He's smiling. Look at him. He's got a big smile on his face. And, you know, that's what we want to see a little bit more of. We want to see a little less emotion of being so upset and a little better emotion of smiles and high fives and that line they do in the dugout. I mean, that's impressive. And when he does it twice, that was pretty cool. The second one, 3-run home run. We want to see more of that, right? That's what we signed him for. That's what Buster Posey traded him for. And maybe the thing in Miami kind of shook him up a little bit. Maybe the focus is coming back and he's feeling a little bit more confident with what his bats are. Because the guy can definitely carry a team for weeks.
There's no doubt about it. It's very contagious as well. You know, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody's ever done any studies on it, but, you know, it was Rafael Devers' bobblehead tonight as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, he hit really, really well. And somehow or another, I kind of correlate bobblehead nights with guys particularly doing even better as a result of it. There may not be any truth
somebody
to it.
said, I don't know what post-game show they said was Patrick Bailey hit 2 home runs in his bobblehead night or might have had 4 RBIs or something. But, you know, you think about it, you get your bobblehead, everybody in the stands got your face and your bobblehead, and you come up to bat and you hit a home run the first time up, and he smoked that ball. You know, 404 feet, he's rounding the bases, and everybody's showing the bobblehead in the stands. You know, that's got to be fun. That's got to be fun for the player as well as how the joyous fans were on Rafi Devers' night.
Absolutely. And Bill, you know, before you go on to another caller, I just wanted to mention, last week I heard another caller talk about how they really enjoyed, you know, your show and your positivity and the fact that you make a great color, you know, commentating individual with the Giants. And I thought that was really kind of a neat, you know, thing for him to talk about.
I appreciate that, Steve. I appreciate that. And yeah, I appreciate the fans reaching out doing that. And like I said to the caller, I said, you know what, there's some good people in the color position from FP to Hunter to Javi. And you know what, if they asked me, I would do it. I've done it before, but right now I'm fine right here on my weekend show, and I appreciate all the fans for your support and saying that. And Steve, thank you too. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. 415-8KBR. Let's talk some more Giants baseball as they win this game 5-0. A nice shutout, the 6th shutout for the San Francisco Giants. I'm Bill Laskey. This is Extra Inning Post Game Show. More coming up right here on KNBR.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Here's the 2-2. Devers swings, hits a high fly ball, deep center field, a good ride. Harris is back, looking up. It's gone! Rafi Devers just to the right of straightaway center. Leads off the bottom of the second with his 13th home run of the year, and the Giants take a 1-0 lead.
Back on Extra Innings, stay hot. Rafi Devers hit 2 home runs today, his 13th and 14th. That one was 404 feet. The second one, an 0-2 slider. It seems like he hit it off his ankles right down the foul pole, hit the foul pole, 362 feet off the pole, a 3-run blast, and he ended up getting 4 RBIs with 2 home runs today, and the Giants prevail with a 5-0 win. The Braves only had 1 hit. That came in the second inning. Mauricio Dubon hit it off Logan Webb. Logan Webb walked Yastrzemski, and from there on, 16 up, 16 down. He was perfecto today. He really threw the ball well. And a whole month of June, when you start looking at what he's done, 5 starts, 38 innings, 19 hits, 4 walks, 29 punch-outs. How about a .71 earned run average? Wow, that is remarkable. That is just remarkable. All right, I'm Bill Laskey. Let's get back to the phones. Let's go to South City. Talk to my buddy John. John, you're on a Saturday night Extra Innings. Good game today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, Bill. It was a good game. I thought Webb pitched well today, and Devers with 2 home runs on. How about on a bobblehead night, Bill?
That's pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, John, if you think about it, if you're a hitter or you're coming to the park and they got bobblehead night, right? And it's your bobblehead, and you're like, man, everybody's got my bobblehead here, and here I come the first at bat, and what do? I crank one 404 feet, and I'm rounding the bases, and everybody's got my bobblehead up. Hey, Rafi, I got your bobblehead. That's got to be a fun time for him.
I sure was, Bill. And I thought, hey, Bill, what was interesting was I thought when Yastrzemski hit that ball to center, I thought that ball was going to be gone. And I was like, oh, no. And
I think Logan Webb did, too. I think Logan did, and I think Yaz did, too. They're very good friends, as you know. And once Gilbert caught it, and you saw the smile from Yaz coming back like, I almost got you. And of course, Logan Webb had the big grin on going, you're out. Go sit down. But it's fun when you do that against ex-teammates. It's a battle. That was the first time they ever faced each other. Same thing with Dominic Smith. And these guys. You played with them, and you're in the dugout with them. You go through a couple of years with them. And, of course, Yaz and Webb played for several years. They play golf together. They hang out together. It's a fun at-bat, but it's bragging rights, no question there.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Bill. And then I know tomorrow's game is going to be a good pitching duel tomorrow between Robbie Ray versus Chris Sale for tomorrow's game. And I have a feeling that's going to be a good pitcher's duel tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 top lefties, if you think about it. When you're looking at left-handers in starting rotations, Robbie Ray has sure come back really well against the Braves and the Athletics. He's pitching nice 4-pitch mix, getting the ball over the plate, coming right at you. I loved what he did against the Athletics, going 8 innings. He threw 106 pitches in that game. He's just got to get out there. I think the biggest thing with Robbie Ray, John, is getting out there those first couple innings and starting to get a rhythm going, because it's usually that first couple innings with Robbie Ray where he starts walking guys and he extends the innings. And his last 2 outings against the Braves and Athletics, he's did that. He pitched very well. In Atlanta after that a suspended game, he came back and kind of like a closer's role or a middle relief guy, a long guy where he extended coming back in after Hauser. And you know what? He did a great job there. And if you can pitch in Atlanta and do what he did against the Braves there, he's got a good mix coming in here with a good game plan.
You're absolutely right, Bill. Hey, Bill, I know there's a possible rumor that Ramos can't come back for his rehab assignment, but do you know who's going to be sent down to Sacramento yet? It's just too close to call right now.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but I saw something today where they had Jonah Cox working with Ron Washington on the infield. He was doing infield drills. And if they're using Jonah Cox that he could be an emergency infielder, then I would think it's going to be Kennedy making that move, that he could be sent down. Kennedy really hasn't done anything up here. He hasn't got a hit in the big leagues. He's kind of a journeyman. He's kind of a middle infielder. I would think he's probably going to be the one that's optioned down. I just don't think Barracuda is going to go anywhere. He can be used as a pinch hitter. I'm very, very my feelings are still with all the Venezuelan players. When you're looking at what happened in Venezuela, the earthquake, and families are devastated. And to me, I just think you keep Barracuda up for the income, the help for his family. And that's kind of where my thought is on that. And that's just my opinion. John, I'm just throwing you my opinion. But I think that's the right way to do it, just to help him mentally and also helping him with money to help his family.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one, Bill. It's unfortunate what's happening in Venezuela, that big, powerful earthquake down there as well. Prayers goes out to those people down in Venezuela as well.
Yeah.
And then, and where do you put Jonah Cox now in the infield, Bill? Second base or first?
Well,
base?
I think what they want to do, he did play infield years back, but you're playing in maybe high school or junior college where you're really not catching a lot of balls. You're just playing in infield. I do believe he was a shortstop way back when, but I just think it's more of an emergency if something happened where you had injuries. Chapman, Adames, Arise, those guys don't want to play every game. And you got Devers playing first base, and your flip-flop would be Eldridge. You also have Casey Schmidt that could also fit in on the infield. But, listening to Tony V on the pregame show, it looks like Ramos will go to right field, and they'll keep Casey Schmidt in left field. And then, Jung-Hoo Lee would probably play center field, even though, man, Jung-Hoo Lee, John's been playing outstanding in right field. It's just a tough position. Now, Ramos has played some right field, but, boy, putting him out there right off the bat, and he'll be in Arizona, that's probably when he'll get a start in Arizona. And the outfield in Arizona, as well as I do, John, that's a big outfield. And he's hitting the ball well.
Oh, yeah.
Tony V said he's hitting the ball well in Sacramento. He's healthy. He's back in the clubhouse. A lot of guys were talking to him. I'm glad he's back, and he's a big part of this team.
Yeah, absolutely right, Bill. Let's hope they can win the series tomorrow against Atlanta. And after that, head off to Arizona as well.
Yep, I think this road trip, Arizona and Colorado, if you can win both series, that's a plus. Tomorrow would be a big plus. Right now, they're 3-2 on the homestand. Win tomorrow, go 4-2. And you got Arizona and Colorado on the road. Then you come back with Toronto and Colorado. It could be a good push here before the All-Star break if they could win a few series and end with the All-Star break on a positive.
Absolutely, Bill. Good talking to you, Bill. Have a good night.
John's pleasure always. All right, let's go to Daniel. He's in Rancho Cordova. How you doing tonight, Daniel?
Bill, I'm doing good. And I hope you're doing well, too. And my heart goes out. A lot of love to those in Venezuela affected by the earthquake.
Boy, the pictures, Daniel, and you see the videos of they're still pulling kids out. And they're pulling, one boy left and he didn't want to leave because his mom was under the rubbish. I've been watching a lot of the coverage on it, and it's just heartbreaking, and they're still trying to pull people out. We've seen it up here. We've seen it all over with earthquakes happening and the buildings collapsing, and people are still alive, and they're still trying to pull them out. It's just heartbreaking, especially with kids when you see that, and it's just touching too many times, and it's just tough.
I know. When I was in the Navy, we did a humanitarian mission at Kobe after that big earthquake, and
wow,
the devastation was sobering.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I didn't have
it kind of just wakes you up, doesn't it, Daniel, when you see it, and then you're wondering how these people are going to survive after. And I just don't know how people do that, especially in Venezuela. It's going to be so difficult to rebuild and clean up, and then, getting water and food and things like that. That's beautiful. I played baseball there one winter. The country is so gorgeous, and there are good people there, but there's also a lot of poverty also.
Well, anyway, I called because, like that other caller, your show's about the only one I can listen to anymore in KNBR. Yeah, the negativity is too much. But, when I saw the lineup before the game, I saw, oh, great, Logan Webb's going to be starting. We're winning. It just felt like one of those days finally I felt like there was a sense of momentum today.
Mm-hmm.
And, wow, what an amazing game when you see offense and defense lined up.
It was everything, especially yesterday when you watch that game yesterday, the bad base running, a balk, a wild pitch, and then they scored 2 runs on 90 feet gifts. They just played sluggish yesterday. I really didn't think the focus was there yesterday. And I was on Sports Phone last night, and I kind of said it. I said, these guys, you got to play a little better. You got to focus a little more. And you can't give up free 90 feet. And, we've been talking about the pitchers and the walks and the relievers coming in and the first hitter they walk, and that's got to stop. And
right.
I started diving into numbers today, and in the last 11 games, the pitching staff has a close to a 3-pointer under 3-point earned run average. So that's a positive there. And then you start talking about starters going 5 innings or more. 6 straight starts, the starters have gone 5 innings or more. And I start like that. I've been always saying the starters have to get deeper in the game, and they've been doing that. So we'll see if this changes more.
Right, and like the other caller said, I'm not an armchair baseball analyst. I'm not calling for people to get fired. I think, the people who are there know far more about baseball than I ever will, and I'm just going to wait and see. And, the Giants aren't going to go very far this season. We all know it. I mean, the way they started the season, how April and May went, just, it's not like it's never been seen before,
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't think that the answer is just trading everyone away, because just watch those people shine once they are traded away. I mean, that pitcher.
It's what it's what you want to see in an upcoming year. I always look at trades and say, okay, I'm trading this guy, but what am I going to get in back? What am I going to get back? And how am I going to fill that hole where that player was? If it's a starting pitcher, do I have another starting pitcher that could fit in that role? If I trade, Arise, just throwing an idea. If I throw Arise into a trade, who can I put at second base, and who's the backup to second base? Because I always like to look at not just the first guy, the guy behind him, because there's always injuries. There's always something that he gets hurt and he's out for a couple days. Who's just as good behind him? And that was one of the things when I talked about the bullpen in the beginning of the year. Everything was into Ryan Walker as your closer, and there was no backup to him. And I think that was the first thing when I keep saying this so many times, when they left spring training, they had no idea who was pitching in a bullpen. They didn't know the bullpen until those 2 games they played the Mexican All-Stars or whatever they do, those exhibition games, and then all of a sudden they play the Yankees, and here's your bullpen. And I'm like, okay, who's got the roles? And nobody had a role. And I'm like, how can you do this? You had all spring training to try to figure that out, and they didn't do it. And it's gone on worse. And I'm hoping that the second half they start filling in the spots in that 6th, 7th, 8th inning. And if Caleb Killian's your closer, always have a backup plan in the bullpen in case he gets in trouble. And I'm hoping they start seeing that.
All I know is all season I've watched almost every game. And it's amazing how well they do against strong teams.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to handle those strong teams very well, especially the Dodgers. Yeah, it's a rivalry, but still, if they're so horrible, then why are they able to beat the Dodgers? It's got to be in the head, like I've said, 100 times. I'm pretty sure you're sick of hearing it. It's got to be in the head. And I think with the combination of that and good coaching and maybe bullpen strengthening, like you said, having backups, I think we can have a great team on our hands.
Yeah, you start focusing on everything, and I've talked about this many times, Daniel, is, when they left spring training, I was probably one of the guys that said this team can score 4 to 5 runs with this offense when you look at this team. And I think Buster Posey thought the same thing. I think Tony Vitello thought. I think Giants fans thought this offense can get you 4 or 5 runs a game. But we never looked at the opposite side. Daniel, we never looked at the opposite side of this team not being able to do that. And that's kind of the sucker punch we all took. And the team just couldn't hit runners in scoring position. And you never look at the other side of the coin. You always look at the top side going, hey, this team's going to be good. And then it didn't happen, and everybody was just like, get rid of him, get rid of him, get rid. But that's not how you fix things. You don't fix things that way. You gotta let it lengthen out. That's why there's 162 games in a season. But now it's to push. It's the second half. Today was the first, the 82nd game. So you got 162 games. You're down to, 80, 81. So they have to play better, and they got to win series. And I think if they can do that before the All-Star break and go in with a little positive mojo at the All-Star break with the next few series, that would enlighten fans and will give us a little hope for the second half.
I have one more thing to say before you hang up on me.
Sure.
Last season I had a heavy heart for some of our trade, especially as seeing it play against us. When I see him in the right field, it feels like he should be wearing a Giants uniform, and he's so good out there. And Smith, I miss seeing Smith too. Watching him, not wearing a Giants uniform is painful too. But I guess it's baseball.
Well, it's a business. That's where it comes down to. It's a business of baseball, and what's a good move. I've always liked Tyler Rogers. I go all the way back when he was in AAA, and I did Sacramento Rivercat games on television as an analyst, and I got to talk to Tyler and got to meet Tyler. And one of the things I'll never forget was that was a hurt. I was hurt by that. I really liked him. And at one time in Sacramento, Daniel, he wanted to quit. He said, there's no way I'm going to get to the big leagues. Nobody wants to give me that chance. And Farhan and Gabe did. And look what he did. He pieced it together, and he got a nice big contract from Toronto. I was so happy for him. And those are the stories that I know for a lengthy time when you meet a guy and you see how he advances through the big leagues and he becomes a star. And that guy, I could have been so happier when he got that contract. I would have loved to have that contract here with him. But again, I watch him all the time in Toronto. He's still doing a great job. And Camilo Duvall, losing him as your closer, there was ups and downs with him. He's having a hard time in New York, and I think he's one of those guys that mentally needs to get tougher. I think he just thinks too much and doesn't use his arm enough.
He overthinks it, you think?
Yeah, I really believe so, because he's got light stuff. He's got lights out stuff. It's sometimes, you just get on the mound and you start thinking too much instead of just going after the hitter. I talked about this last night with the – yeah, and, you watch this Atlanta Braves and the closer parole. These guys just attack you, and that's what good bullpens do. They come out and attack you. They come 0-1, 0-2 right at you, and that's when you can find out how much good of a pitcher you are with how much confidence you have, and you go right at the hitter, where sometimes you start getting a little complaint, nibble here, nibble there. Next thing you know, you're 2-0, 3-0. It's definitely the big leagues, and you can start seeing the path of the real good closers and the real good relievers and some of the guys that have question marks. And you start thinking, can they fit this role? Can they come out and throw one clean inning? Can they fight, the mental side of the game? And you've been watching, Daniel, like you said, you watch a lot of baseball, and you can see the good ones and you see the middle-of-the-road guys. And I think the Giants have a good crop of pitchers, and the experience problem is the issue.
Hey, do you think Colorado's up and coming? Because last season they were like 9-50, and this season they're way better than they were last season. And when they played
Colorado, I did a couple interviews with some of their reporters, and they changed the attitude. The new manager got in there. They have a new GM, new baseball operations, and they just kind of changed it. And a lot of youth, a lot of young players, they're believing in what they do. They have a whole new analytic department, and they're using that for Colorado and how they're changing the viewpoint of players playing in Colorado. That's a tough place to play. That's a tough place for pitchers to pitch at. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to do an interview with Bud Black here coming up this week, and that's what we're going to talk about. He was a good friend of my Bud, and he managed there for many years, and those are kind of the questions I'm going to throw to him. How did you manage there? How did you go home and play 81 games at home, and you're trying to win, and it's tough. And some of these teams come in there and hit home runs. It's like, easy fly ball that flies out of there, and you got to get your pitching staff to kind of conform that. But we'll find out. I think Colorado's an upcoming team, and they got a ways to go.
I hope they do well. Thank you, Bill.
Daniel, thanks for the call tonight. A pleasure talking to you, and please call in more. I appreciate your time. Let's go to San Jose and talk to my buddy Barfighter. Barfighter, 2 nights in a row. What's going on with you tonight?
Prime time. To
Yes,
all my
sir,
bar
I'm here.
fighting friends. Yeah, to all my bar fighting friends out there, check me out at SJ Barfighter on X.
Well, are we
Prime
saluting anybody today, Barfighter? We're not saluting anybody today?
Okay, I'll do that.
Aren't you a proud member? Aren't you a proud member?
I'm still a strong member of the Lunatic Fringe.
There you go, man. You can't forget about that.
Yeah, but I just
Come on,
don't.
Barfighter.
Yeah, that stuff just gets kind of old, so I like to switch it up a little bit.
You're trying to switch it up. All right. What's going on, Barfighter? Good game tonight. Good game tonight.
Yeah, it was a good game. But it's not about being positive or negative. That's the emotional criteria. It's about being objective criteria. And this team is not a cohesive team. I mean, how many games are they under 500?
Or 14.
Yeah, and this is not a team that's going anywhere for the next few years.
I disagree with
honestly,
you. You can't look down the road for the next couple of years, Barfighter. You can't do that. I talked about it earlier with another caller. You can't talk about there's no prospects, they're not going to do anything, they're not going to win. You can't think that way. And you don't have any proven fact that you can say that. That's just an opinion.
But there's no proven fact that that the future is going to be any different than the
You don't
past.
think the minor leagues are stronger? Barfighter, have you looked at the minor leagues? Have you looked at what they've got? Have you looked at what they've got in prospects? I don't think you have. I think that's what you need to do. Take a look at what's going on in Richmond. Take a look at what's going on in Eugene. Even look what's going on in Sacramento. There are some upcoming players that are young players. That's what you want to see. You want to see prospects moving up the chain. I don't agree with you. I think this team is got some older players. They got some younger players that can play. I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series next year, but I really believe they are moving in the right direction. A lot of people will say, "No, Bill, you're a fool." No, I'm wrong. I am right, and that's how I feel, and that's my opinion. And you have your own opinion, but I just don't think you can tell me they're not going to go to the playoffs next year. Who knows what happens this year? You've seen it. I've seen it. A team gets hot in 1 month. They gain 10 games. Can they do it? Why not? Why can't they do it? Who says they can't? They got to play each game. That's why there's 162 games.
Yeah, and the developmental progress is not happening. I don't see any progress in this team.
Okay.
And the criteria is basically objective reality. And the objective reality is I don't see this team going anywhere for the next few years. Hopefully, Busta P will essentially have drafted some good players into the minor leagues, and there'll be something to progress from that. But
Barfighter, I want you to look at one thing for me, Barfighter. In 1982, my rookie year in 1982, we won 10 games straight in September, and we were in the fight in the last 3 games of the season. We had moved up the chain and evened out with Atlanta and the Dodgers. We won 10 games in September. That. Yeah, and it was an exciting time, and that can happen anywhere. It doesn't happen with the Giants. It can happen with any team.
My 2 favorite players of all time, Willie Mays and Joe Morgan, and that was the Joe Morgan. Yeah, I remember 1982.
It was
awesome.
It was a fun run. It was a fun run, and we got down to the last 3 games against the Dodgers. Of course, we beat them in the last game to knock them out. The Braves were playing the Padres, and those were fun. That was a fun season the way we ended it. And, a couple games here and there, we might have got to the playoffs, but those things can happen. And you know that, Barfighter. That's why I'm not saying your opinion is wrong, but I'm also saying my opinion could be right.
Yeah, it could possibly. I mean, that it would take somewhat of a miracle to happen, but I'm saying I'm keeping. Prime time. I'm keeping in my Vita Blue bobbleheads are all nodding at me, so he agrees with me. that
He's
I'm
agreeing with
hoping...
me. He's not agreeing with you. He's agreeing with me. He's my bud. All right, Barfighter, what else you got to throw at me? What else you got to throw at me tonight, Barfighter?
You know what? The last thing I want to throw at you is that I am glad that MLB is possibly going to do an expansion in Sacramento because the Giants need a competitor in the area.
Okay.
I am
they just
very
did something
glad
like that. Derek Lee, Dusty Baker, Greg Vaughn, all those guys are really trying to push to see if Sacramento could get an expansion team. They threw the city in the hat, and now it's up to MLB to see where the expansion is going to be. Of course, Nashville's probably going to grab one of them. Nashville's all ready, boy. I think Nashville would be a great place for an expansion team.
So yeah, I'm pushing an expansion team in Sacramento, and you know what I want to call them? Take a big guess.
I can only
Sacramento
imagine.
Bar Fighters. The Sacramento Bar Fighters. And you know what?
I'll leave you with that one.
There.
I'll leave you with that one, Bar Fighter. Thanks for the call tonight on a Saturday. All right, let's go to Berkeley and calm everything down because we have Andrea on. Andrea, how are you on a Saturday?
Oh, I'm doing great, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's always great to get a win, right? And, boy, today it was Logan Webb and Rafael Devers' day, right? It was both of them combined, and what a great game by both of them.
Yes, the planets really align. Thank you, baseball gods and goddesses. 2 home runs by Devers on his bobblehead day. And do you know that Devers and Webb are born 3 weeks apart?
Wow.
Yeah, I was looking at their...
Interesting. Webb's, of course, older, right? Webb's a little older, maybe a couple years, maybe?
No, actually, Webb is November 18,
Oh, they're both 29. That's right. Yeah, they're both 29.
And Devers, October 24, 1996, and they're both having this Saturn return, 29, which is a very pivotal age of new beginnings and increased career accomplishment.
Good. Good. I like all those positive things.
Oh, I know, yes. You inspire me to be positive. I want you to know that. And, life is timing. Timing is life. And, hitting 2 home runs on his bobblehead day. They're both Scorpios, which is a sign of transformation. And, again, they're born 3 weeks apart. So I really think that was a really nice, positive, much needed.
Good combination tonight, right? A good combination for both of them.
Yes.
And I think both of them, Logan Webb has just been pitching so well in the month of June.
Yeah.
And you wonder why Buster Posey says, well, he's not going to be tradable, because he is your ace. He's the guy that you put your foundation with. And now you got Rafael Devers and another possibility of holding the offense down because he's signed for many years. And, this is what you want to see. You want to see 2 leaders on the team lead by example, and you start getting everybody to pitch better. And, like I said, the starting pitching for 6 straight games, 5 innings or more, that's a good start to get deeper into games. Rafael Devers had a tough Sunday in Miami, and he's come back and really he's hit the ball very well in this homestand. And let's just hope that he can continue because he can't get hot. And that's one thing I've known, looking at his baseball card and looking at the years that he has played where he's had 30 home runs, 35 home runs. He can carry a team for a couple of weeks. Right.
And I always have that mantra, don't waste the ace with Logan Webb. 7 shutout innings. 1 hit.
I like that one.
I mean, we really.
Well, tomorrow, Andrea, tomorrow's a big one. Fun Day Sunday. We got to have it happen tomorrow, and then we'll be right back on Extra Innings, and I'll be waiting for your call if it's a Fun Day Sunday. But thanks for the call, Andrea. Let's go to Sonoma and talk to Matt. Matt, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Saturday. What's going on, Matt?
Good evening, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just, like I said to Andrea, watching Logan Webb pitch today and then watching Rafael Devers, your 2 leaders in that clubhouse, and you just get those guys started, and hopefully some of the team can kind of get hot with them.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to watch. I had to work tonight, but it is good to hear that those guys are picking it up. I was listening. I tuned in. You were talking to Bar Fighter, and I was thinking, I really agree with Bill from the perspective of I do think that this team is going in the right direction in terms of,
Mm-hmm.
putting in certainly some more consistent bats in the lineup, which I know they didn't start off well, but watching what Jung-Hoo Lee, Casey Schmidt coming out of nowhere, and Arise, these guys are table setters. They get on base, they hit the baseball. We start adding in some Bryce Eldridge, some bats like that. I think that, to your point, if we're coming up from the minor leagues and adding the pieces we have, I think we're going to continue to get better. We need some pieces, but I see the team going good places.
Yeah, when you mix in some of the rookies, and we've been talking about Drew Kavanaugh, you can talk about Susac, your young catchers. Of course, Haas is kind of the veteran, and maybe Kavanaugh is going to push him out because he's a left-hand hitting catcher, which is a positive there. I love that aspect of him, but he's still a young catcher. Same thing with Susac. And then you start adding pieces like Barracuda, a player that really hit the ball well in spring. He's got a cannon for an arm in the outfield. I just like what he brings to the team. You start adding a little piece here and a little piece there to mix in with what you just said with Jung-Hoo Lee and Luis Arise. And you see Casey Schmidt, another one that's getting his name in the mix of a good career. I just think the pieces are there. Don't trade everybody yet. Let's see how this plays out in the month of July.
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Bill. And the other point that I would make is, and it's kind of been talked about. I listen to some of the other guys, and I would trade this or do that. But I think the Giants need to bite off some luxury tax and just get out there and spend some extra dough, right? I know we've got some big contracts and things like that, but at the end of the day, we as fans have loved the wins and have paid the money for the jerseys and the tickets and the beer and the dogs, right? I'd like to see them turn around and spend some money on some players instead of thinking about it as return on investment and socking it away for some real estate.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you, Matt, and I think you've heard me say, you build a puzzle when you leave spring training. The puzzle, you have different pieces that fit in, and we know there's some missing pieces. We know there's some pieces that need to be changed, and they have to be better. And a starting pitcher, or maybe some bullpen, and maybe some bench players. I think the bench needs to get stronger for pinch hitting and roles like that, and you start seeing that as the season goes on, and where you can build and where you can subtract that. And that's what makes a team. And when you look at the minor leagues bringing up a couple of these players, man, it brings energy to the team and it brings life to the team. And you get a guy like Devers and you get a guy like Webb where they're veteran leaders and you can see what they're bringing to the table and you see their fight, what they did tonight. That only brings that motivation to the clubhouse.
Yeah, most definitely. And the most consistent thing is Bill Laskey on Extra Innings. I appreciate you and love the show.
Well, Matt, thanks for the call on a Saturday night. And maybe you should see highlights of this game because you'll be real happy when you see what Logan Webb and Rafi did. So have a good night. I appreciate your call, Matt. Let's go to Javier. He's in Richmond. Richmond, how are you, Javier?
I'm doing all right, Bill. How about yourself?
Well, it's always good to watch two good games today. Two good players that played well today. When you look at Logan Webb, Rafael Devers, we'd love to see a little bit more out of Devers, and Logan Webb has been that ace the whole month of June.
Absolutely, and I didn't get to see the game today. But what I really called about, Bill, was at what point do we say to ourselves that Buster Posey is perhaps just not the person to do the job, and that maybe he's a little bit over his skis as far as being able to construct a roster properly? Because given the position he's put us in this year with our bullpen, our starting pitchers, and the way they spent the money in the offseason, I'm just wondering at what point, the Vitello, the hire, it's great, it's taking a chance, but at what point does it actually come to fruition? When do we see the benefits of what, he's doing? And at what point do we say?
Well, Javier, you got to look at it this way, Javier. The first half of the season, which we just finished yesterday, of 81 games, it didn't go the way everybody wanted it to go. Buster Posey was very devastated the way it went. He put a lot of thought pattern and a lot of moxie in what his moves were, and it didn't work out. Tony Vitello was a young manager coming out of college. We knew he wasn't going to come in and all of a sudden take over the clubhouse. I don't think there's a cutoff point here. I just think that so much negativity has come onto this team within the last week to 2 weeks. I'm so done with the negativity on Posey and Tony and the players. I want to just play baseball. And that's why I like my show the way I do it. I want to talk about the game. And what happens outside of the game, what happens to Buster and what his moves are, that's his job. That's the president of baseball operations. I don't think none of us can tell him what to do or what not to do. That's his opinion. And all we do as fans and analysts, we gauge what he does. And sure, he's made some moves that we thought maybe, he could have got better. He put too much money on this contract. But at that time of the signing, at the time of these contracts, did you or any of the other fans say, oh, that was ridiculous, that's not going to work? No, because we all jumped on with him and said, man, you got Chapman for 4 more years? You signed Adames for this big contract and we don't have a shortstop? And now you go and get Devers because we can't get a free agent? And that was really one of the best hitters in baseball? I think all of us were elated when these moves went in. Did we look on the other side of the coin that didn't work? No, we never did. And that's what's happened. That coin flipped, and now everybody's like, whoa, how did you do that? Why did we do that? It's just not working. That's why as a baseball player, and I know 162 games, I've done it for several years, I am not going to be the negative guy that's just going to gouge. I want to talk about each game and how they can fix the game. Better defense, better hitting and runners in scoring position, better pitching. Bullpen's got to get better, get some rolls. That's what I look at a game. All the other stuff, I can't control and you can't control. We can't say get rid of them. Who's you going to put in there? What's the next move? Tell me another baseball president of baseball operations you'd want in there. We don't have one. So why wouldn't we want to move a Buster Posey? Give him some slack. Give him a little movement here. Let's see what happens by the end of the year, and then we can judge what he's doing. And at the end of the year, then we can talk to him and say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why didn't it work? And why did this work? And that's the only kind of objection I can say. That's kind of my opinion. There's really no rope I'm cutting yet because we're halfway through the season. I'm not happy the way this baseball team's played for the half a year. But at the same time, I got another half a year to watch them see if they can get out of this. And today I saw 2 leaders of this team carry this team. Rafael Devers on the offense and Logan Webb on the pitching side. If we can expand from that and make it better with other players, we might see a difference. But right now, no, I'm not happy with 34 and 48. No Giants fan is. But I think what we got to look forward to is if we're going to win tomorrow. And can we win the next series? And take each game in each series and see if this gets better. That's kind of my opinion on all this, Javier.
They're being nitpicked, both Vitello and Posey. All of their decisions are being nitpicked because they're both novices, they're both new to the position. And when they first made all the signings, when he traded for Devers, I was the biggest person to say, here it is, we're going to finally make a change. We're going to finally get headed in the right direction. But my main problem was the fact it was just the construction of the roster itself. Everyone goes through bad periods. Everyone goes through slumps. But it's just the construction of the roster, not having people on the bench, not having depth in the bullpen, things like that is what bothered me.
Missing pieces, right? Missing pieces, Javier, where they miss some things. They miss some things. I agree with you 100%.
Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
Yep, Javier, thanks for the call, and we'll see what happens. That's all we can do is you play each game, and hopefully tomorrow they win and win another series, and we move on for a road trip. But you know what? It's baseball, and that's what 162 games is. But I appreciate all the calls tonight, really do. I'm going to invite my friend Ryan Leon coming on. We're going to talk more baseball. Of course, he's been doing this for 25 years. He now works for Bay Area Sports Wrap. So Ryan Leong's going to join me next, and we're going to talk more Giants baseball on Extra Innings right here on KNBR.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
Back on KNBR with Bill Laskey. Giants win tonight 5-0. They shut out the Atlanta Braves on only one hit, and that was on Mauricio Dubon. He got a double in the second inning. Of course, Logan Webb pitched a game 16 up and 16 down. Boy, he just was fantastic tonight. The bullpen of Ryan Walker and Mr. Hedges ended up getting 2 innings with no runs, and they end up winning 5-0. They're now 34-48. One more game on the homestand. That first pitch is tomorrow at 1:05, where Chris Sale from the Atlanta Braves, 8-5 with a 2.14 earned run average, takes the hill for the Braves, and Robbie Ray with 2 great outings. He's 6-6 with a 3.7, and we'll do extra innings right after that game. So one more game on the homestand. They are 3-2 with 1 left. All right, my guest today has been working 25 years in Northern California. He does a great job, and now he is the sports director of Bay Area Sports Rep. Let's bring in my friend Ryan Leong. Ryan, how are you today?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on, Bill. Appreciate it as always.
Yeah, Brian, thanks you so much for holding on, and I had a lot of calls tonight, but I appreciate your time as well. As a good game tonight. Of course, let's look at the positive side of Logan Webb in the month of June. He has just been pitching fantastic. When you look at 5 starts with a .71 earned run average, I don't think you can get any better than that.
No, you can't, and he's pitched really well since he's come off the injured list because there's a lot of talk that he participating in the World Baseball Classic, he kind of ruined his rhythm and his timing, and he had some rough starts before he went on the injured list. But yeah, since he's come back, he's been lights out. I mean, what is it now? It's 5 games now. He's pitched 7 or more innings per start, right? He had 7 innings and 3 8-inning starts in a row, and then tonight, of course, he tosses another 7 innings shutout ball and gets the win. Yeah, so he was very impressive, and he's he's been the Giants' ace now for quite a few years, and he's just missed getting the Cy Young Award, and all the accolades go to him for sure when he's on his game.
Ryan, one of the things I've noticed here within the last month, using the cross-seam fastball a little bit more, trying to get that ball elevated, getting strikeouts. He had 2 of them today, threw 19 of them today, one of the first times he's got that high. And he's also using the cutter, which is a nice little break on the pitch going from right to left. With the new pitches he's adding in here with his regular sinker, sweeper, changeup, I really think he's developed 2 nice pitches in his repertoire.
Oh, definitely. And you could never have too many pitches, I think, if you're a starting pitcher. If you can throw them all for strikes, that's the key is to upset hitters' timing. I'm telling you this, Bill. You're the one who's a former pitcher. You know that as well as anybody. Is trying to mix up pitches. In fact, I'm sure we'll talk about him in a minute. But the one guy, if there's one critique you could have of tonight's game, it probably would be the outing from Ryan Walker. I mean, he kind of struggled a little bit in that inning. He threw 23 pitches. I think he threw 19 of those 23 were sinkers, and he threw nothing but sinkers to Mike Yastrzemski, who squared up his final pitch. And if it wasn't for a good alert Drew Gilbert in center field, he might have had a hit out of that last pitch.
You're absolutely right, and he did get in trouble there. And I just don't understand. He went to AAA. He failed as a closer, and now he's in a lot of high leverage innings. And I'm just saying, why is that? And are you seeing something different than I am? Because Tony V is going to him a lot when their game's on the line.
Not only is he going to him a lot, but what really surprises me, and I've only seen this in a guy like Felix Rodriguez. He was a good setup guy when he was on the Giants, but one of the things he did was he relied too much on his fastball. Now in this case, you got Walker relying too much on his sinker, and I know Mike Krukow was on the morning show at KNBR, and he mentioned how Walker relies way too much on that sinker. He also has a slider that he throws on occasion, and he rarely throws a four-seam fastball, which according to Krukow, he doesn't really have a four-seamer, which kind of baffles me. I would think that if you are any kind of a starting pitcher or any pitcher in general, you should have a four-seam fastball in your arsenal. And the fact that he doesn't really have one, and he relies so much on the sinker, is just it's to me it boggles my mind, because like I said, and you know this again, Bill, you got to have the ability to change pitches and disrupt the hitter's timing, because I'm sitting there in the press box with my colleague Marco, who's the editor-in-chief for Bay Area Sports Wrap, and we're sitting there going like, why does he keep throwing this guy sinkers? He's fouling him off. Pretty soon he's going to square one up. Sure enough, he does. But again, as I mentioned, Gilbert there to make the out.
And we can go back to that Philadelphia double hitter. He did that for like 6 or 7 straight pitches, and finally gave up a hit. But you're going back to a sinker slider type of repertoire, and that's kind of what I did in my mix of pitches. And I've always questioned the speed of him because he overthrows them sometimes, and you don't get that nice, easy movement on it. You overthrow it, and then the movement is really fast, and it gets out of the zone. And I've always said to myself, if he would just come back a little bit, about 3 or 4 miles, and look at more movement than velocity, he might be more effective with those movement on the pitches.
And well, maybe this too. I'm no pitching expert, but he does kind of throw across his body, doesn't he? I mean, that kind of reminds me of Bobby Witt.
Yeah, he does.
Bobby Witt was pitching back in the day. He was throwing across your body can be tough because it makes it difficult, from what I've seen, to get location. I mean, you can definitely hit, I think, fool the batter because you're throwing from such an unorthodox delivery, but I just think it's hard to maintain your release point, right, and get consistency there.
It does, because your hips don't open. That's the thing. You're cross-firing over your left leg a lot, and I see that with him a lot, where his knee comes way across the rubber, and then it doesn't open up like a normal motion for a pitcher. He cross-fires, and then you're firing over your leg. It's a different type of motion, and sometimes he walks a lot of guys that way because he can't find the zone. I'm just I'm skeptical maybe on him going back to AAA, and all of a sudden now he's a mainstay in the bullpen. And, I was talking so much the other night about Adrian Hauser, and what he did yesterday just impressed me coming out of the bullpen. Of course, getting taken out of the starting rotation. He has pitched out of the bullpen in his career, and what he did yesterday impressed me, and I'm hoping they use him a little bit more in those innings in that 6th through 9th.
No, I would agree. I mean, he definitely looked efficient out there, and that's what you want because, again, the way I see it, when you're throwing pitches, it's like having like ammunition, right? You only have so many bullets in your arm per game.
Correct.
And you just got to try to be as efficient with it as possible.
Well, let's look on the offensive side. Of course, Rafael Devers today just had a magnificent day on his bobblehead of all things. You guys probably were laughing in the press box when he hits 2 bombs on his bobblehead day. All the fans have his bobblehead. He's rounding the bases with a smile on his face finally. But what have you seen out of him the last couple of days? Because it seems like he's hitting the ball a little better. He's making contact. That ball he hit, the second home run, was down. It was a slider in. But it seems like he's hitting the ball to all fields now. He's trying to hit the ball to left field a little bit more, and I think that's a valuable possibility if he can do that more. We saw him do it in Boston.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the thing is, because he's such a high leverage player, and there was so much talk about when the Giants got him. I mean, not that you want him to be the next Barry Bonds, because nobody can be that, but I think you definitely want to see him be more productive. And of course, you can't do much better than what he did today. Now, again, as you mentioned, Bill, the problem with this team is consistency. Can he be more consistent in just making solid contact? Maybe not hitting a home run every time. Maybe trying to, maybe hit a ball into the gap or go in the opposite field, like you said, or just at least making solid contact where he has more confidence up there at the plate. And again, with his lineage and then the years he's been in baseball, he's been a good hitter. But yeah, playing at Oracle Park is a lot different than playing at Fenway.
It sure is. Ryan Leong joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show. He's a senior producer of Bay Area Sports Wrap, does a great job over there. And, we talk about 25 years of you doing this in Northern California, and you've seen the ups and downs of Major League Baseball, both from the Giants and the A's when they were in Oakland. Have you seen a team like this fall so fast at 34 and 48? And it just seems they win a couple and then they lose them. Like I always say, there's more losing streaks in this first half than winning streaks. What have you seen out of this team different from many years that you've been covering baseball?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I would say the thing that's really odd is you either see them really feast or famine, right? I mean, they have games where they've scored double digits, and they've done it a few times where the offense has really come alive. But more often than not, you've seen games where The pitching hasn't held up. Certainly the bullpen's been much maligned, but there are times, too, the offense doesn't do much. I mean, even in this game, too, the offense didn't do a whole heck of a lot. I mean, you got, really great production out of Devers today. And so you're just, I think that's where the Giants really need to kind of work on things, is because you're offensively, the only guy that's really having a great year, of course, Casey Schmidt and Jung-Hoo Lee, both those guys are doing great. Everybody else is really, and of course Bryce Elder, I can't forget him. He's had a pretty good year too. I mean, he's kind of hit the skids a little bit. I mean, he's now batting over 300, but you got to have more production out of the other guys. I mean, Luis Arraez had a good year, and I think most likely he's probably going to get traded. It seems like he's the one carrot you could dangle out there to get something in return. But it's just a matter of trying to get more consistency throughout the lineup. And you're only seeing, like as I mentioned, about 4 guys right now that are hitting on this team, and the rest of them are just kind of along for the ride.
Well, Ryan, I think the big move that's going to come here, they say by Monday, is the return of Elliot Ramos. And today, Tony V on the pregame show, you probably been in the dugout, saying that he's probably going to be playing right field and Casey Schmidt will play left field. I remember when he played center field, and I'm sure you did too. Has he played much right field? Because I can't remember him that much in right field at Oracle.
Not to my knowledge, yeah. I mean, I don't think he's played much there at all, if my memory serves correctly. But that'll be interesting, because that's not an easy place to play, as you know. I mean, Mike Yastrzemski did it very well, and I think Jung-Hoo Lee's doing a good job out there. But I just think, I almost find what I'm seeing with Tony V is he's trying to experiment sometimes in places where maybe he should try to kind of leave things as they are, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality.
So what would you do with Elliot Ramos if you're bringing him back off the IL? Where do you put him, and where does he fit in the outfield?
I think he fits in probably better in center or left, in my opinion, personally. I mean, I think, again, you always want to put your strongest arm in right field, and at least in the Giants' case, your best ranged outfielder also in right, just because of the way that ballpark is designed. I mean, it's got the weirdest configuration for right field. In fact, a right fielder, to be successful, more often than not, you're going to play him in right center, which is kind of unusual. Most times you wouldn't put anybody out there in that area.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other night when I was doing Sports Phone. You can't put Casey Schmidt in right field. Here's another guy that would have to know another position. I think he's been okay in left field. There's been days where he's kind of hesitant going after this ball or that ball. Today he made a couple nice grabs. The one on the warning track over his left shoulder, and a couple balls that were diving into shallow left where he caught one backhanded. What have you seen out of Casey Schmidt in left field? Are you comfortable with him out there?
Yeah, he's done all right. I mean, I think the outfield in general is never easy to play at Oracle, just because if it's not the outfield dimensions, it's certainly the sun and the wind. I mean, the high sky is really challenging there, and of course the wind is just as difficult. I mean, a lot of fans don't see it because they're not at Candlestick, but the wind conditions there are almost as bad. I mean, when the ball gets up in the light towers, it can really do a dance out there once the ball gets hit up in the air.
That voice you hear in Extra Innings is my buddy Ryan Leong. And now we got a catching situation now with Susac going on the IL, Drew Cavanaugh coming up, a young 24-year-old catcher. And now where does Eric Haas come back in? Is he the odd man out if Susac comes back off the IL? Do you keep Cavanaugh as a left-hand hitter, another young catcher? So now if you do get Haas out, now you have two very inexperienced catchers. What would you do in the situation with that?
Yeah, that's a tough one for sure. I mean, I think you definitely want to have somebody with some stability back there behind the plate. I mean, I know that's what the Giants had in Patrick Bailey, but he simply couldn't swing the bat. And as you know, it's all about your offense when it comes down to it. But I would think if you're the Giants, I think if you have to figure out a way to hold on to all three guys. I just don't think you can ever be in a position where you want to make a catcher expendable, especially when the only two guys that would be left are basically guys that are rookies. I mean, you need to have somebody with some experience, and that's Eric Haas.
Yeah, I agree there. And today, they showed Jonah Cox taking some infield with Ron Washington, and it kind of makes me believe that Kennedy might be the guy out when Ramos comes up. Have you thought about what the move could possibly be?
I don't, to be honest. I mean, I haven't given it that much thought. I mean, kind of like you mentioned too. I was listening to some of the other callers before I called in about looking towards the future. And I don't know. I just find that in a lot of cases, I'm not a player out there, so I couldn't speak to their experiences. But I don't have any way of looking towards the future and saying who's best to be put in there and who should be out.
Have you seen a lot about Barracuda? Have you seen good out of him? I'm seeing only 3 games out of him. He hasn't played that much, but boy, those 2 home runs were very impressive. Yesterday, made a nice diving catch, got a little base hit off the end of his bat. Is this a player that you could possibly think down the road he could be in the outfield?
I mean, that's a possibility, but again, it all gets back again to like the consistency and how well he can, he's able to play after a while, because these guys are so heavily scouted by the opposition. I mean, a guy could be hitting well, and the next thing you know, he's struggling because he's just not seeing fastballs anymore. And I think that's what happened with Susac, right? He was seeing nothing but fastballs, and then the scouting report gets out on him, and then they were able to pitch him more tough. So I wouldn't say that Barracuda is going to be ultimately this guy who's just going to always hit for power. I mean, hopefully he can survive the rough patches when scouting reports get out on him.
See, Ryan, you tell me you're not a player, but boy, oh boy, you sure know a lot about scouting reports, and that's exactly what happens when you get a hitter that's hot, and next thing you know, all of a sudden they're throwing him breaking balls, and they're throwing him 3 or 4 in a row, and he's swinging right over them, because you just said it. When Susac was hot, he was hitting fastballs, going after that first pitch every time. Now he's seeing changeups. He's seeing more sliders, more breaking pitches. And you hit it right on the head. The scouting report doesn't lie. When you got guys behind home plate or even the analytics report and you're seeing a guy, first pitch, fastball hitter, you're definitely not throwing him one.
No, you're right, definitely. I mean that, and this is something that, when people always talk about the great hitters of the past, guys like your Ted Williams of the world and Joe DiMaggio's, I mean, they didn't have any kind of video review. In fact, people really didn't start watching video, I think, until Tony Gwynn was the guy that really kind of popularized, sitting in the clubhouse watching VHS tapes or whatever after games.
Yeah. That's so true, and it's 100% true. When I talked to Tim Flannery, he said he'd be in there in his shorts and a T-shirt with his VHS tapes watching the pictures for the next day, and he had it all videoed. And, of course, when we were doing the Candlestick games, I still have VHS tapes where they had the camera right behind home plate where I'd see the pitch and you'd see the guy hit it, but you never saw where he hit it. It was pretty funny when you saw what they offered you.
Oh, sure, yeah. No, I mean, those were the things have changed. And I used to see in the clubhouse post game, I'd see some players sitting at a video station where they'd have this whole setup like a TV studio, where they had the little wheel where you could go back and watch at bats. I guess players probably watch it on an iPad now, but I remember about 10 or so years ago, 10, 15 years ago, they'd definitely have players go sit in an area in the clubhouse and watch. I'd see them do this after a game.
Yeah, I saw that in the clubhouse at Oracle. They had a nice little studio there, and they probably had 4 or 5 different screens where you could get 4 or 5 different players in there, and you also had seats for your coaches, and you literally just knocked everything out and watched what you did. And do you like that where they have the screens in the dugouts? Do you really kind of look to see what they're looking at and what they can adjust to?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as you know, these guys are just looking for any edge they can get, and technology is a big part of it now. I mean, it's every sport, not just baseball. I mean, I'm sure all the different sports have their iPads and their monitors where they can try to break down plays and just try to find some kind of an edge.
A few more minutes with Ryan Leong, and we talked about Logan Webb, and we talked about his 5-pitch mix, and you said it earlier in this discussion where you said a starting pitcher should have more pitches, that you liked what he added. So I'm going to go back to what happened yesterday with Trevor McDonald. He only used really a 2-pitch mix. He used sinkers and he used sliders. He threw 90 pitches, 58 sinkers, and 22 sliders. I think he has to come with a 3rd pitch or a 4th pitch. He threw 10 changeups, only 2 for strikes. And you start thinking about the lefties knowing sinkers are coming, and you said it as well as I said it. These guys are looking on their iPads. They see what the mix is. They see the motion. They see how the movement on the pitch is. And the 2nd and 3rd time around, he's got a hard time getting people out.
That's why it's funny. I know we didn't have a chance to pitch with him or watch him, but back in his prime, I guess Juan Marichal used to throw from 3 different angles and 5 different pitches. So the talk of him was he had 15 pitches because he threw 5 different pitches from 3 different angles. So, it's too bad we don't see more of that too, because as you know, and you see in baseball now, so many guys pitch with similar deliveries, right? Even though now a lot of pitching coaches, to be more efficient, they tell a lot of their pitchers, don't use a windup anymore, just pitch from, make your pitch from a set position, right? And so, I kind of miss that about baseball. I miss the days when you had guys that threw different deliveries, and there was something unique about the ballet of watching guys. Each different pitcher had their own way of throwing the baseball, and you just don't see very much of that anymore.
Well, the other thing I miss, Ryan, is the full windup. I miss the arms coming over the head and the body turn and everything. Now, just like I said it, you can look at Logan Webb. It's just from a set position where he just sets and he puts his hands right next to his stomach or his belt, and he picks up his leg and goes right at him. And, I still teach the windup when I do my pitching lessons. I still believe in it, the turn and the fix and how your body comes at the home plate. But I think what you're saying is I think baseball has adopted to getting comfortable, getting a set position, and doing it repetition, the same pitch, same motion every time.
Yeah, if you watch really old baseball back in the 60s and before, guys used to, not only that, they used to do it, wind up with their arm, and then they would bring the hands together, and then they would go with their wind up.
That's right.
If you want to really go way
Good
back
stuff.
in the past. Yeah.
Well, tomorrow's game, Robbie Ray.
Bill,
go ahead.
Before you let me go, I wanted to make a mention. Your callers are always saying about how a team can't make it from being really bad to being really good. Don't tell that to the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, they were 61-2 last year. Where are they now? They're 42-38, and they're in first place in the AL Central. So all things are possible.
You're absolutely right. So I want to kind of look at tomorrow's game. 2 good left-handers. When you're looking at Chris Sale and you're looking at Robbie Ray really pitched well his last 2 outings. Chris Sale, talking to a couple writers from Atlanta, they're really gauging how many pitches he throws, and he's only been going his last 3 outings, all 5 2/3. They're only getting him to throw about 80 to 90 pitches, and they want to see where he'll be in August and September. So I think the Giants are going to have a battle tomorrow, especially if they get in this Braves bullpen. It's so fascinating what they have down there. What do you have to see out of Robbie Ray? He threw a real good game against Atlanta in Atlanta. Do you see him doing the same thing tomorrow? Is this something that he could achieve again, being consistent like he's been his last 2 starts?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, he's the kind of guy that has the ability as well to go deeper into games. But I think his big problem sometimes is his control, right? I think his last outing, he walked like 4 guys. So, if he can find a way to limit his walks to, let's say, 2 walks, I think he's got a good chance to go at least 6 innings. Maybe 7.
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
Nice.
And I think that's one of the pitchers that could be moved. Of course, he'll be a free agent at the end of the year, and you're seeing what some of these teams are starting to move and add in pieces. And I think that's what's helping him maybe get his stock up. And you know what? He's that type of pitcher that somebody would pick up and put right into a rotation, and he'd fit in anywhere. But we'll find out, though, Ryan. Tomorrow's a good game, and it should be a final game of a nice homestand as they're now 3-2 with 1-1 left before they hit the road. But I appreciate your time, Ryan. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, hey, thanks again, Bill. And wanted to point out also, I looked up the stats for Elliot Ramos. He's only played 24 games in his career in right field, so it'll be interesting to see what the Giants do when he comes back.
Well, and I thank you for doing that because we didn't know, and now we know. So it's a good thought pattern. But thanks, Ryan. Appreciate your time on a Saturday night. That was Ryan Leong. Of course, you can see him on Bay Area Sports Rep. Does a great job over there. All right, we're going to take a quick break. I sat down with Russ Ortiz over the week. And, of course, he's a big Oklahoma Sooner fan. He pitched for Oklahoma, and, of course, the Oklahoma Sooners won the World Series in college baseball. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Russ Ortiz about Oklahoma winning the World Series and a lot of pitching. So Russ Ortiz and I sit down next on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. Enjoy the conversation right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to KNBR, the Sports Leader with Bill Laskey. I'm honored to have a guest on, a good friend of mine. Played 12 years in Major League Baseball with 6 different teams. Started out with the San Francisco Giants. He was a National League All-Star in 2003. Let's bring in Russ Ortiz. Russ, how are you today?
I'm great, Bill. Great to be with you.
Well, you got to be pretty happy today. The Oklahoma Sooners won the 2026 championship in Omaha, and the last time they did it, you were on that roster in 1994. That's a pretty cool stat there, what I read, and you have to be pretty gloating today.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Last night, just, went to bed with a big smile on my face and woke up the big smile on my face, just excited, just one of those things where you're just like, man, that those guys did it. And, just being a part of the OU baseball family and just the University of Oklahoma in general, I mean, it just makes you be proud to be a Sooner. And so, yes, I'm just so happy for those guys, and just, it's just excited. I'm honestly in cloud nine still. So,
well, Russ, 1994 was the last time they won it. You were on that team. You had pitched that year 38 innings. You had 3 saves, 30 punch outs. What was the difference from 1994 to now with the Oklahoma Sooners program?
That's what's interesting is, everything that we were about, the kind of team that we had, the kind of people, the kind of leadership, the kind of coaching staff, it's actually oddly similar, this year's team to that team, which is great. It's something that we talked about. I was playing in this golf tournament. There's this tour called the Pro for athletes, and it was in Minnesota, and I was coming home on Friday night, and once they got to championship, I rerouted to Omaha, and so there was a bunch of us from that 94 team that, came out to support this year's team. And that's the stuff we talked about. We talked about, like, man, just the camaraderie that we had. I mean, and just, we really locked arms with one another, had each other's back. And everything that you hear about this year's team is pretty much exactly the same. So, that's just what was really cool is that you hear the same things, and that comes from Skip Johnson, the head coach, and his staff. It starts with them, and then they build that foundation into them, and then the players kind of take over, and then you build leaders on the team, and that makes sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, and everybody has a goal on day one of to make it a World Series and win a national championship, but not everybody is built for that. And that's the thing that we remembered is, these coaches, they built a foundation for us to be able to win a national championship. And then you look at this team, and it's like, man, they did the same thing. This coaching staff has been building the right foundation, and they brought in the right personnel, and ended up getting it done. And I think that's what makes it even more exciting, is that, their team and our team in 94 sound very similar. And so I think it just added to the excitement of, like, man, we really want them to win because of how great a group of guys that they have.
That voice you hear on KNBR is Russ Ortiz. Now, Russ, back in the day in 1994, you were the closer for the Sooners. You had a role that now, again, these days, every bullpen have roles. Tell me a little bit about your mentality part of it, if you remember back in the day when you were in college, as well as just getting ready to prepare for that last inning.
Yeah, I mean, all through my college career, I got to do everything, and then I, ended up becoming mainly just a closer in the 95 the next year, and that's where I got drafted as. And I remember when they put me in that role, or anytime I got an opportunity to close out a game, it was just a learning experience. And then once I finally became the closer on the team, I really learned from the 94 closer, the main closer with Bucky Buckles, and people loved his name. We still love his name to this day, but I mean, he was the epitome of someone that, that just has ice in his veins. Like, nothing else matters except doing your job. And your job is to, make sure and, get ahead and attack these guys. And, and some guys, well, back then, I mean, you had, some guys were just animals, and they just threw gas and just came right after you. Right. And, so I had three pitches. And so I learned, when you, should use those, and use all your pitches, and when you should just go with certain pitches and stuff like that. But it was mostly just the mentality of when you're called, on to come in, is that your focus is just one job. Everything else doesn't really matter. And so you understand the situation. The situation is not big enough for you, and you take that challenge head on, and then it's really about staying locked in, and watching. I got a chance to watch Rob Nen do it, and he's one of the greatest, and it's just like before, you're not, and that's the one thing too. I remember, as once I became the closer, it's like you don't get too geared up, too early. It's just like you find your time where you just like, okay, now it's time to really be locked in, and usually it's about the seventh inning and all that. And so yeah, so you're just finding your routine, and you're just once you get ready and once you come in, then you are the guy that needs to shut the door. So you can't be mentally unstable and mentally weak. You need to have a strong mindset, and so that's what I was taught there. And once they made me the closer in '95, learning from Vern Rule, who was our pitching coach at the time, it was attack these guys, and don't don't let them get any momentum whatsoever. And then I took that into professional baseball in the minor leagues. When I was closing, it was just like, this is my game to close out. Our guys did all this work, for 8 innings, and now it's my turn to shut that door. And so I'm going to be the aggressor. I'm going to be the one that is going to have the momentum and keep it. And you just can't let other things bother you. Even a hit.
One of the things you said, Russ, which I really agree on, is you can't get ready for the moment in the 6th or 7th inning. It'll drive you crazy if you start thinking it that way. But as you build up through those innings, and what's happening in a 1-run game, a 2-run game, you're going to get into the game. So then you start looking at the lineup. You start looking at how you prepare for the hitters. That's one thing all bullpen pitchers did. You're preparing as the game continues. But as a short man, as that closer, you said it, you have to dominate. You have to go in there and be the aggressor. Was that hard for you to do?
I would say, I learned in high school to be that guy as a starter. And I went into Oklahoma, with that confidence and everything. But then I wasn't put in a starter role right away. And so I kind of did everything. So I think the first 2 years, it was kind of, what's my actual role? And, having a role of like, hey, well, we're just going to use you whenever we think you're best suited, for that particular game or that particular series. So I think, once I became the closer, then that's what Vern Rule just taught me, really kind of how to have the right, mindset, in, because now I had an established role, and, it's kind of like, hey, you're going to be the guy, well, Larry Koshel, the head coach, and Vern Rule is just like, hey, you're good, you're our guy. And, and so all the stuff that I learned from my pitching coach in high school and from Vern Rule is like, now it's coming to a head, and it's just like, now go out and do it. And they believed in me enough to put me in that position. They trusted me enough to put me in that position. So I think they saw something in me that they wanted to get out of me that maybe wasn't there the first 2 years. And man, so when they give me a solid established role, and told me, like, this is where I was going to be, and that I think it brought out
too.
that.
That was the other thing, Russ. You accepted it and said, this is where my place is going to be. This is what I have to do, and this is what I have to do for the Oklahoma Sooners. I got to save these games. So now we switch gears. Now you go to Pro Bowl, and you sign with the Giants, and they make you into a starter. So you got to switch everything.
Yeah.
But
So it's back.
we're gonna
Yeah.
kind of fly by the Giants here because I want to come to one year. You get traded to the Atlanta Braves, and that year was your best year in professional baseball. How did that
Right.
click? I know you had a great time with the Giants, and we've talked about that several different times. But when you come over to a new organization, and you had Bobby Cox as a manager, Leo Mazzoni as your pitching coach. You also had Greg Maddux there. You had Mike Hampton, who also got traded there. And now you got to establish yourself as a new starting pitcher. How difficult was that for you to jump into a new team?
Man, well, it was difficult to get traded,
Yeah, of course.
growing up as, was in the Giants organization and loving it so much. And then, but from day one that I got there, because Glavine had signed with the Mets. And so there was this whole thing of like, I'm going, to replace Glavine, or Mike Hampton was there to replace, one of us was going to replace Glavine, so as soon as I got there, they told me, you're not filling, any empty spot for Glavine or anything like that. Just we wanted you here. We know what you can do, and just go do your thing. And so right away, they made me feel like, we're not looking for you to do what Glavine did. Like, we want you to be who you are. And that made me feel so comfortable right away. And then, and that was huge. And then once Leo and I got to work, I think he liked the mindset and everything that I brought to the table. And then I got to understand him and what he has brought to the table to all of these great, Braves pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to soak up everything. But what I realized is that he was very honest with all of the pitchers, and some guys didn't like it and some guys relished it. And I was one of those guys that just relished the fact that he was honest. So if you had a terrible bullpen, he would tell you, he's like, that was terrible. He's like, you wasted, I think you wasted your time coming out here with that. And so, but what he's talking about is just the mindset. Is just like, look, this is work. So come in with the right mindset and do work. And so, man, I love the fact that he was always there to challenge me and always there to be honest with me. And then we had a great relationship, and he's the one that, because he's done that with other guys, throwing 2 bullpens in between starts. He's the one that suggested trying that. And man, obviously all those things, everything I've learned from the Giants, everything that Leo and the other pitchers, taught me, that collective information and knowledge really helped me to feel comfortable, feel confident, and to be able to go out there and, help win a lot of ball games for them.
Russ Ortiz joining me on KNBR for a few more minutes. Everything clicked that year. Of course, you had 2 good years prior to that with the Giants, but that year you had 34 starts. You were 21-7. You had the most wins in the National League. You were all-star that year. But when you start thinking of everything that clicked, 212 in the third innings, 177 hits was really good. The walks were down, the strikeouts were up. And I think it was what you said earlier. They made you comfortable in a new uniform. They made you comfortable in a new team and a new pitching coach, from Dave Righetti to Leo Mazzoni. You had 2 fantastic pitching coaches, but it made you work harder. I think that's what you're stressing here. It made you concentrate a little bit better. And look at the results you had, Russ. Just a fabulous year.
Yeah, Rags his mind is unbelievable. I mean, anybody that knows him, like, he remembers every pitch, like, through the whole season. And so he was great at being able to recall stuff as a learning experience. And, but yeah, so learning stuff from him, and then, putting it all together with the information that I learned from Leo and Greg Maddux. I mean, you kidding me? Having someone like him and John Smoltz to be able to run questions by them and try to learn. And, so it's just able to actually get that information and then go do it on the field is that, yeah, the whole time before I got to the Braves, I've been hearing all of this information, trying to implement it on the field. And that really, yeah, was the year. And I really think the 02, when I pitched in 02, you know, I learned a lot and a lot of things clicked there. And then, as if anybody remember, obviously people remember game 6 of the 02 World Series, everything clicked. Everything that I needed to do, everything that you want to do as a starter, it clicked there. So I really took that into the following season, and then adding little here, little there, allowed me to, sustain that throughout the next 2 seasons, so, but it's, the people around me, I've been really blessed. I tell people all the time, I got to play for 2 of the greatest people and the greatest managers ever in Dusty and Bobby, and had 2 of the most incredible pitching coaches, in Rags and Leo Mazzoni and stuff like that. And so, that really is something that, I don't take for granted. And I realize, man, I was blessed with the opportunity to be on those teams, have the coaches that I had. But I was the one that had to go out and do it on the field and help our team win. And so the more I was willing to accept my role and accept information, to be humble enough to get correction and all that stuff, I think the better I was going to be off in the long run. And so I learned that early on in my Giants career from those guys in the bullpen when I first started out in San Francisco. And so I took that to heart, and moving to Atlanta, even though it was hard to get traded, I accept the fact that it's the business of the game, but I was going into a great organization with a great history of pitching, and I wanted to be able to add my name, to that list of great pitchers, Atlanta pitchers, but that was going to mean that I was going to need to be willing to accept some criticism, challenge, and also have some humility to understand that I don't need to be necessarily great. I just need to be the best version of myself. And they brought me in because they liked who I was, and that was cool. That was really cool to understand that. And then at the end of the day, those 2 years, I was able to help them win, probably 40 something games, overall in all the starts that I made. And so I think that's pretty cool.
Well, Russ, a fabulous 12 years. Let's put it that way. 12 years in Major League Baseball as a pitcher, and also a World Series champion at Oklahoma Sooners. And I think that was so cool, the timing that we had today with them winning the World Series. But I just want to thank you. Some great stuff right there. Some great listening for pitchers that are out there to listen and understand what you have to work at. And it's always a pleasure catching up with you, my friend.
Oh, this was great. Yeah, always great to talk to you, Bill.
That was Russ Ortiz on KNBR. More coming up right here on The Sports Leader.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning postgame show as we close out a Saturday. The Giants win today 5-0. They shut out the Atlanta Braves only on one hit. Logan Webb wins his 5th game of the season. He goes 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts for the month of June. 3-1 with 5 starts with a .71 earned run average. A fantastic month for the month of June for Logan Webb. Tomorrow, 1:05. The final game of the Atlanta Braves series and the final game of the homestand where Robbie Ray takes the hill. He's 6-6 with a 3.7, and Chris Sale for the Braves 8-5 with a 2.1 earned run average. I want to thank my guests today, Ryan Leong and Russ Ortiz. If you miss either one of those conversations, they'll be on the All KNBR podcast. I want to thank my producer, Kyle Hart, did a great job. And, of course, all you Giant callers calling in, talking Giants baseball. We'll do it again tomorrow. And my guest tomorrow night, Leo Mazzoni. Of course, he's in the Hall of Fame with the Atlanta Braves. He was a great pitching coach for Bobby Cox. And, of course, the three monsters with Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. Great conversation tomorrow after the game with Leo Mazzoni. So you guys have a good Saturday night. Have a safe rest of the night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.